Yo, what's happening, people? It's your boy DatYoungBull, aka Fresh Till Death DYB, keeping it steezy, and I'm bringing you guys a 32-2 TDM match on Villa. Now, today I'm not giving you guys any tips and tricks. I'm going to be giving you guys a life story. Now, the story I want to talk to you guys about today is actually about my very first girlfriend. Now, right now I'm 18 years old and a freshman in college, but my first girlfriend was actually in 7th grade when I was just a young 12 years old. Now, up until this point, I never really had any sort of attraction towards women before, and I never really felt a need to go out and get a girlfriend. I was pretty content just playing my Game Boy, jamming buttons away with Pokemon and Fire Emblem Advanced. But there comes a time in every young man's life when he finally discovers the true beauty of women. For me, this moment occurred when I was at a local church youth group one lucky Wednesday night when the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen up until that point had walked through the door. Something different happened to me. I mean, I was friends with a lot of girls, but I'd never felt this way about any of them before. Suddenly, I started getting extremely nervous, and I could feel myself breathing a little heavier. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that I thought that this girl was beautiful. Now, when I say that my young 12-year-old self thought that this girl was beautiful, I mean, this girl looked like she was 17 years old with a massive rack. I'm talking double D's, put your face in between those things and motorboat them away. No, I'm just kidding. They were probably B's, but I mean, that's pretty freaking huge for a 12-year-old. Now, I'm sure most of you think I'm lying to you right now or something like that, just trying to build the story. I'm telling you, this chick was just one of those naturals, wonders of nature. I mean, I can't explain it. It's just the way that it was. So when she walked in through the door, the youth group leaders were, just trying to introduce her to people, get her acquainted so she didn't feel awkward not knowing anybody. And I was actually the first person that they introduced her to. Now, while up until this point I had not yet liked a girl, I knew that since this moment came to me at such a young age, that I needed to jump onto this opportunity as quickly as possible. So, like any other 12-year-old in the early 2000s, besides just giving her my name, we actually exchanged AIM screen names. Now, I know, taking things a little fast, right? But I was a risk taker, and I was willing to take the risks for this one. So from that night forward, we pretty much talked on IM non-stop every single day for a couple weeks. Well, it got to the point where I decided that I needed to make my move and sweep this lady off her feet before some other guy did it first. So, like any other 12-year-old boy, I really didn't want my mom to find out that I'd actually started taking an interest in girls. So, I figured the best way to be able to hang out with Courtney and not get the news out that I was digging her yet would be to invite a couple people over and act like it was just a regular hangout with a nice group of kids. Well, fortunately and unfortunately for myself, almost nobody was able to show up except Courtney and her stepsister. Now, while this might sound like everything's going according to plan, I've got one of those moms who's pretty eager to pry into your business, especially as a younger kid. Almost any time she even saw me talking to a girl, she would just constantly make jokes about how much I love this girl and how I cannot wait to marry her. I mean, the last thing I wanted my mom to do was to think that I liked this chick, so the fact that she was here alone with only her sister caused for things to get a little awkward for me. But that really wasn't the worst of it. At that point, I really could care less about what my mom thought. I was more so worried about the fact that, holy crap, there's this beautiful woman inside my house and I'm too shy to do anything. It got so bad that we pretty much just stood in the foyer of my household doing nothing until my mom actually had to suggest to me that we went into the family room to go watch a movie. Now, being that this was the very first girl I ever had a crush on, trying to pick a movie for this very special occasion of actually having her over at my house was a pretty stressful experience. In my young 12-year-old mind, I figured that a movie could either make or break our relationship. I didn't want to look like the uncool kid picking some Disney movie from when I was a child because I still wasn't mature enough to really appreciate any other kinds of movies. Well, thankfully, I was also into Lord of the Rings when it first came out, so we popped in Fellowship of the Ring, and we got our Shire on. And by we got our Shire on, I mean I was too scared to even sit down on the sofa next to her. No, in fact, I was too scared to sit down in general. Don't ask me why, I don't understand it, but I was so nervous. Her and her sister were both sitting down watching the movie, asking me why in the world I wasn't sitting down watching with them, and I couldn't give them an answer. I was just frozen in fear. I mean, I had never liked a girl, and my mom was right in the other room. I didn't want to end up possibly making things move too fast with either her or my mother, especially one that's so eager to make jokes at me for any girl that I would even look at. So, they finally convinced me to sit down, but I didn't sit down on a sofa. No, didn't even sit down on the floor. My brother had a big blue toy bin, which we kept over to the opposite side of the room, and yes, I sat in the toy bin. I sat on top of the toys. I don't know what I was thinking, but looking back at it, that was probably one of the big reasons that me and Courtney never actually ended up hanging out ever again. Now, I'm not going to exaggerate. That really wasn't the only reason. One of the biggest reasons was the fact that her dad was abusive and extremely controlling over everything she did. She wasn't allowed to hang out with me or anyone else. But thankfully, she was at her mother's house that week, so us being able to hang out wasn't a problem. As far as I remember though, she only actually stayed at her mother's house 1 week out of the entire month. So while we're sitting there watching Fellowship of the Ring, my mom tells me that she's going to go order pizza because it was around 7 o'clock and we were all getting pretty hungry. So as we're sitting there waiting, I decide, I'm going to get off these toys. I'm going to go sit next to her on the sofa. Now, I mean, I wasn't just going to straight get up and sit down next to her. No, that'd be too easy and make way too much sense. So I casually got up and grabbed my Game Boy Advance SP off the table next to her. I then sat down, just like I was trying to sit there to get some better lighting. The only thing going through my mind was,
"Hey baby, let's take it down a notch tonight. No need to rush. Daddy's got it all taken care of. Oh yeah."
No, but seriously, I literally sat down and started playing my Game Boy Advance SP. That's it. I just sat there. I didn't talk to her. I didn't look at her. I just sat down and started playing. I distinctly remember Courtney asking me if she could try the game I was playing. I just looked at her and told her you wouldn't understand it. Immediately, I regretted saying this for obvious reasons, but there was nothing left I could do. I was just so awkward and so uncomfortable. That's the only thing that came to mind. So accepting defeat, I just straight up aborted mission. I went to my bedroom and just started playing my Game Boy Advance SP. Didn't even tell him I was leaving. I just left the room and went upstairs. As I was going, my mom asked me,
"What are you doing? You have guests over."
I just looked at her and told her, "I'll be right back. Call me when the pizza's ready." But I never came back. When my mom finally did call me, I was at least excited to get some pizza out of this night. But when I went downstairs, their mom was there early to pick him up. And that's how our first date ended, just as lame as it started. We dated for a couple more months, only talking on AIM. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this life story, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace!